Negroes who talk about that they're individuals and that they're doing their own things. Isn't that interesting? We talk about individualism, right? That means that we're supposed to be uniquely different. If we're so uniquely different, why do we buy millions and millions of 3-liter bottles of Pepsi Cola? Why do we buy millions of pairs of Timberland shoes? Well, all these individuals who are supposed to have such different tastes and joints. Why do we buy millions and millions of the same types of clothes, the same type of food, the same type of entertainment, the same type of music? What are we talking about? Who are these individuals who have such separate choices that they end up buying over and over again the same product? Millions upon millions upon millions of the same product, say they're doing their own thing, and I'm an individual that expresses my own taste. You must be joking. You're no individuals. There's no such thing as individualism. It's a joke that the white man runs on you. You say these other people are individuals? Well, tell me this. Why is it that 180 million white individuals decide that they won't spend a nickel with you? If they are so free, and if they are so different, and if they are so unique, and if they do all their things, and if they, then why is it a good chunk of them don't spend money with black people? Where is this individual choice? Where is this individual choice when 7 or 8 million Asians will walk 10 miles around not to put a nickel in your hands, and yet they come and sell you everything they got? Where is this individualism, ladies and gentlemen? Where is this individualism in Detroit when Arabs can own the infrastructure of that city and Negroes spend money after money with them and they not spend a dime and they treat them like dogs? But we are individuals. We are doing our own thing. We are not a monolithic race. I believe in diversity. You're the only one that believe in it too. Negroes who talk about...
Good morning and welcome to the Monday morning edition of Let It Be Known. I'm your host, Stacy Brown.
Peace and love. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I'm Niele, your co-host. And of course, we have the top stories to talk about, including what's happening in Minneapolis and of course here in Los Angeles. And we'll speak to somebody. Remember the Alabama Brawl, Stacy?
Who doesn't?
Well, there was a documentary made about it. And so that filmmaker is going to come on and talk about the connection to history and where the brawl took place. So we have that, of course, your headlines. And I guess that was Dr. Amos Wilson talking about individualism. What's your take?
Oh, again, he's putting everybody in the same boat, both blacks and whites. There are many who, as he mentioned, will buy the Timberlands, et cetera, et cetera. Then on the other side, they won't patronize us. But that's not altogether the case. I mean, there are some black folks, as well as white folks, as well as Chinese folks, et cetera, who intentionally patronize their own race. Maybe it's not enough in his view or in other people's view, but it happens.
Yeah. That was a lot to start off. Okay, Greer. I'm still digesting that one.
Yeah, look, what are you gonna do? I think there's a larger point perhaps that he's making in that video, or made. Obviously, it's not a new video, and folks, I think individualism, to a great extent, as far as people do follow other people, they follow the trends, and maybe it hasn't worked out following the trends for the majority of us. So maybe we should stop following the trends.
All right. Well, let's jump into these headlines.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a growing belief that not only is the ongoing assault by America against places like Nigeria, Venezuela, and the imminent plans to attack Greenland and Iran, it's all about oil, mineral, and cash grabs. Yes, but coupled with ICE and Homeland Security violence against citizens at home, the administration is seeking as much domestic violence acts of terror and chaos because it's getting obvious, Niele, that MAGA will be soundly defeated during the midterm elections. It seems like this is, other than the money grabs and the and property, building this strip in Gaza, et cetera, things are getting dicey for MAGA, and it seems like what we're seeing is this run up to the midterms, because we are certainly in the heart of the midterm election season now. It seems like there's some desperation setting in amongst some of them. That's why we saw the healthcare vote last week go the way it went. But what we are seeing is that these acts of violence that's perpetrated by the government is really a precursor to what's going to happen during election time.
Well, let's talk about the violence. Nationwide anti-protests continue across this country over the weekend, although mainstream media wanted to focus on those foreign affairs that you talked about. I checked out CNN and MSNBC, and they were really focused on what's happening over in Iran, what's happening in Venezuela. And that's all fine and dandy, but what's happening and what happened over the weekend in our country should have been top priority to me. And I think to a lot of other Americans, because no matter how they're trying to oppress that information, people are taking to the streets just like they did when police murdered George Floyd. And of course, they're calling for the accountability after Renee Good and Keith Porter was murdered by ICE. And so joining us now is 3-time Emmy award-winning journalist, Georgia Fort. And I want to bring her in now.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. So, like I said, we weren't seeing it so much on TV, but it was all up and down our timelines. And I just want to thank you for being boots on the ground in Minneapolis, actually giving us really what's going on from the detention centers to the crime scene, to what's happening at a state and municipal level as it relates to the mayor, the governor, and of course, Attorney General Keith Ellison. So let's start with the protest. Can you give us an update on what happened over the weekend, the turnout, and what ICE is up to?
Absolutely. We've seen protests happening daily at multiple sites. There have been ongoing protests happening at the memorial, the site where Renee Good took her last breath. Those protests we've seen have, for the most part, stayed peaceful up until at least we've seen outside agitators from out of town coming there trying to incite violence, lighting flags on fire, and then leaving. There's also been a lot of protesting outside of the federal building, which is near Fort Snelling. Those protests tend to be a lot more tense. There's a lot more chemical agents and rubber bullets that are being deployed by federal agents. That location has been the ongoing site where pro-ICE supporters are coming in to agitate. We've seen multiple national level, I guess you could say, figures that are coming there with speakers and just really taunting protesters there. One making some really radical remarks saying that we executed one of yours. And so things have been tense. There was about 50,000 people, however, who hit the streets on Saturday afternoon. That protest was 100% peaceful. We did not have any sightings of pro-ICE supporters there trying to antagonize people. There was also a vigil that was held at the state capitol by 300 members of the clergy. That, again, was also extremely peaceful, calm, and just a lot of calls for unity, reminders to Minnesotans that we've kind of been here before, but asking people to draw on that collective memory of how we showed up for one another, how we cared for one another. And some of those sentiments, I would say, to your point earlier that you made, right, are not necessarily being reflected on television. To answer the second portion of your question in terms of ICE, recently, I think it made national news that 2,000 agents were being deployed here. Well, just over the weekend, Kristi Noem announced on national television that hundreds more of agents are being deployed here. And so folks here on the ground are bracing for that. In different community watch groups, we're seeing reports every 15 to 20 minutes that there are different ICE arrests happening across the Twin Cities, and not just of people who have their immigration status in question, but we're hearing reports of legal observers having their vehicles crashed into and being arrested. We're hearing reports of U.S. citizens having their doors kicked in for allegedly harboring people who are illegal. And so it has been extremely chaotic here in Minnesota over the last week since Renee Good was fatally shot by a federal agent in Minneapolis.
Yeah, Georgia, we as journalists, we've covered, longtime journalists, we've covered so much of things like this. You mentioned George Floyd and going on and on, but for Kristi Noem, how rare and reckless for someone in Kristi Noem's position to make the statement she's made, including at this point saying we are sending thousands of more agents there. And the other question I wanted to ask you too, you mentioned the outside agitators. I think it's so important because during the height of Black Lives Matter, those demonstrations, you constantly saw outside agitators. Explain to folks where these people come from, what's the origin, and what's their mission.
Yeah, absolutely. To start with the piece on Kristi Noem, I think the political rhetoric is extremely dangerous, especially being in a state where one of our elected officials was assassinated over the summer, right? And so people here are it's very sobering for us, right? These acts of violence to us are extremely real. And when they are inflicted at the hands of folks who are paid by the state or paid by the federal government, it is extremely triggering and re-traumatizing, not just from the standpoint of being here for the murder of George Floyd, but then also going back to the assassination of Melissa Hortman. You have to remember, a man dressed up as though he was a member of law enforcement and showed up at her doorstep, right? And so to have these agents now going door to door and being told by Kristi Noem that more are on their way without giving any context as to why. Why do more agents need to come here? What is the urgency in terms of why we need more federal agents occupying Minnesota than what we have in comparison to local law enforcement with multiple cities in the metro area combined, right? And so I think that political rhetoric is extremely dangerous. We've seen, the escalation of political violence, not just in Minnesota, but across the country. And so I think that those types of decisions are really just throwing more fuel on something that feels extremely combustible, right? And to talk about even more so, like being in Minnesota after the murder of George Floyd, there is somewhat of a collective memory, right? People saying we've been here before, but somehow this seems different. And so one thing I have done, is I took a little bit of time yesterday for the first time since Renee Good was shot and killed by a federal agent, to just reflect, to process everything that has happened. And I started to imagine, like, okay, so if we look at Chicago, for example, of how these things go, federal agents were there for almost 2 months. So we're basically at the beginning of this might happen, continue on until maybe March. Some folks are hearing, and this is unconfirmed, reports of agents booking their hotels until May or June. And so what is a pathway forward that is peaceful, that de-escalates things and doesn't escalate things? And so on one hand, let's say our local authorities do file charges and they arrest the agent. I think we could probably speculate the federal government would escalate things. And if there aren't charges brought forward, people are concerned that the community may escalate things, right? And so what is the scenario in which we move forward from this situation that de-escalates things? And I'm having a really hard time imagining which scenario gets us there.
Right.
That's deep. I mean, on so many levels. Major Boy said, what about Keith Porter? We will be checking in and tapping into here in LA a little bit later in the week to find out and get an update on that situation as well. But I think we're in that space right now to talk about, what leadership is doing in Minneapolis. And of course, we saw the mayor last week, go off and use the F-bomb. But we also know that, he might be part of the problem. I'm not saying, but when you look at what certain activists out of Minneapolis, the picture they're painting, they're saying that he could arrest Jonathan Ross if he wanted to, if he had the guts to. And then we look at over the weekend, Attorney General Keith Ellison saying that it might not happen now, but when the new administration, the statute of limitation doesn't end. So he still can be prosecuted. It just might not be now. What's your response to and thoughts and what's the sense in the community about how leadership, government on a local and state level is handling the investigation into Jonathan Ross?
I'm going to give you two answers and I'll try to make it quick. The journalistic answer and then my personal opinion. Journalistically, what we saw was a tremendous grandstand from our mayor speaking out against what happened, right? We did see pretty swiftly the Hennepin County Attorney, Mary Moriarty, and as you said, the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, hold a press conference basically saying that they're launching their own investigation, even investing in online infrastructure, a portal where the public can upload their evidence. And so I think at face value, it does seem as though our elected officials here are doing what they can to move an investigation forward in response to the tremendous outcry from community demanding justice for Renee Good. And let's be clear, going back to 2020, right? The Attorney General the county attorney at that time had originally, basically said he wasn't going to charge the officers, but after seeing the community response and the fire at the 3rd precinct, right? They kind of changed directions. And so we do know in Minnesota that public pressure is extremely effective. And so right after, I would say, some of the same civil rights activists who have been organizing here even before George Floyd was murdered. We're talking Jamar Clark, Philando Castile, all of these different police killings that have happened. A lot of the organizers are still here. And so when they held a press conference saying that we know our elected officials do have some authority, we did see a quick response following that. So I think from a journalistic standpoint, that summarizes where we are in terms of what we've heard from our elected officials. On the other side of that, in my personal opinion, you mentioned, this grandstand we're seeing from the mayor. Basically, is it genuine? And my question is, where was that energy in June when we had the first big raid here in Minneapolis on Lake in Bloomington, which is a neighborhood that is highly populated with Latino and Somali community members. Where was that energy then? At that time, we actually saw a united front between the mayor, the chief of police, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office denouncing the fact that it was an ICE raid and holding the line for federal officials, saying that it was a federal raid. It wasn't an ICE raid, but people witnessed and photographed and documented the presence of ICE there. That at that raid, we also saw Nick Shirley. And Nick Shirley, who I'm sure people have heard about, you know, did the documentary about all of the alleged fraud at Somali-owned daycare centers here, right? He was on location back in June. In fact, he was probably the source of the misinformation. If it really was only a federal raid and was just an ICE raid, why was Nick Shirley there calling it an ICE raid then, spreading misinformation? And why did our local officials, heavy hand public officials and community members denouncing them and ridiculing them for allegedly spreading misinformation, when really Nick Shirley was the source of that misinformation? And so things here, I think, in Minnesota have been boiling for quite some time. And so I think a lot of people were extremely surprised to see the mayor take such a grandstand after seeing him basically be complicit to the big raid that happened back in June.
You know, I'm so glad, because when we all first saw it, we were like, go mayor, speak truth to power. And then when you start looking at voices like yours and Toussaint Morrison, and you see Nikema Levy, you're reminded, like, wait a minute, what's really going on?
Absolutely.
Well, the other part, and it's been asked already, even before you came on, as to whether or not this agent can be charged. I know that there was the Ruby Ridge incident in 1992, where a federal agent was charged. Ultimately, the case was dismissed, but there can be state charges, but it's just a very high bar, right?
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, I think, you guys mentioned the Attorney General alluding to the statute of limitations, saying that this agent could be also charged after this administration is out. And so the question, in my opinion, we know the precedent, right? We know it is possible. I think the real heart of the matter is, do elected officials on a city or state level or a county level anywhere in America have the courage to stand up against this federal government? Going back to the scenarios I ran, right? Okay, if we don't get charges, the community is going to turn up. If we do get charges, the federal government is going to turn up. And so I think in Minnesota, elected officials are not only having to make these very difficult decisions on just months after they saw their colleague Melissa Hortman assassinated, but knowing that there would be a political response, there might be a physical response even, right, from this federal administration if they bring forth charges. So it's not so much a matter of, can that be done? It's a matter of whether these elected officials have the courage in the moment to stand up. A press conference I attended where, civil rights attorney Dr. Nikema Levy Armstrong spoke alongside the co-executive director of the Minnesota Freedom Fund, Eliza Darris. And one thing he said, very powerfully stated, he said, tell us, if you don't have the courage to stand up, just tell us that you are abandoning us so that we can know. And I felt that sentiment as I have been reporting, but to just hear it stated so plainly, I think that is the internal dialogue that many of us are having across the country, not just here in Minnesota, is, do our city, county, and state officials really have what it takes to leverage their power and their authority where they have it against this administration. And if they don't, would they ever even communicate that? And we do have a right to know, because if we are being abandoned and things are going to escalate from the federal agencies, I think communities and neighborhoods across America need to think a lot more critically about how they organize, who they choose to represent themselves in the midterms, and what are their plans of action for ensuring safety within their own communities.
Well, man, we are at a pivotal point in this country. I was thinking over the weekend about the Civil War, the North and the South. Now we're at a space where it's state against federal government. And that's just where we are. And I think you have just laid out everything that constituent citizens need to be thinking about. Which brings us to our last point about, what you're doing is giving us enlightenment that we're just not seeing anymore in our country. It is so hard. I mean, we see what's happening at CBS. Like I said, I watched the news all weekend. This point of view and conversation wasn't had at all. I mean, and I watched it. And so I want to talk about the journalist. We know that we saw in mid-press, there was a journalist, a female journalist that was attacked. And her face was all, darted up. And then you have posted about a journalist named Jonathan Guevara. So talk to us about what's happening with him now, and just, are you being threatened? And what's happening with journalists during this time in Minneapolis?
Well, absolutely. We also saw the attack on independent journalist King Demetrius Pendleton, who's very well known here as well. And so this ongoing threat to people who are documenting, who are speaking out, who should be constitutionally protected under the First Amendment, I also think is a signal from this federal government, right? That you will be punished if your views don't align with theirs. You will be punished for just showing up and trying to document the truth of what is actually taking place. And so when you look at the case of Mario Guevara was down in Atlanta. He is an independent journalist that prioritizes serving Latino communities. And he was going out and doing a lot of live streaming that was happening in the Atlanta area of these different ICE raids. And so I first learned of his story, not from mainstream media, but just by being on a call that was scheduled by Pivot Fund. They organized media companies all across the country, independent like mine, to have just a collective check-in on what was happening. And Mario's son happened to be on that call. And so at that time, he told us, it had almost been 100 days that his father had been detained. And there was a lot of back and forth. From my recollection, because this happened over the summer, from my recollection, there was a local determination that he could be released, and then the federal government intervened and changed course. And so after more than 100 days of being detained, a person here who's a member of the press, a person who I believe had been here for about 20 years, owns his own business, has created jobs for people even, and according to statements from his attorney, had legal authorization, had a work visa to be here. After 100 days, they ended up deporting him back to El Salvador, and stating that, allegedly he had missed some filing of documentation. And so the thing here, that was really disheartening to me as an independent journalist, right? We don't have the same protection or even resources when things like this happen to us as journalists who work for these big corporations. But at the time when I learned about Mario's story, it wasn't even making headlines. No one had even heard of him. But this was happening in context at the same time where celebrities and public officials were outraged that Jimmy Kimmel had been taken off the air. And so I was able to kind of connect the through line there, right? If we're outraged about the violation of free press, if we're outraged about our constitutional First Amendment right being violated, when we see someone like Jimmy Kimmel being taken off of air unjustly, then where's our outrage for an independent journalist like Mario Gravera, who's on the front line as a Latino man? You can't have more courage than that, to be a Latino man out here trying to document to your community what's happening with these ICE raids. And the worst thing that could happen actually happened. And no one's talking about it. No one's going to stand up for him. And so as an independent journalist, even though this was outside of, my coverage area in Minnesota, I just thought that it was very essential to just shine a light to the community that if you guys really do care about free press, we have to, from a spectrum, care not just about white men on corporate platforms like Jimmy Kimmel, but we have to care about independent journalists like Mario Gravera too. Like the First Amendment, we can't be selective. We can't have selective outrage, right? And we can't be neutral either. If we're neutral about the dismantling of our democracy, then how can we expect to be protected by it? And so that reporting actually went viral. And shortly thereafter, I know a lot of producers for national platforms follow me. I know a lot of reporters in other markets follow me. And so it just so happened after I shined a light on it and the reporting went viral, it did start to make national headlines. But unfortunately, the end of that story resulted with him being deported back to El Salvador.
I mean, now you guys know why she's a 3-time Emmy-winning journalist. Okay, thank you for for sure. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you back and check in because at this point, Minneapolis is ground zero for the future of our country as we look at how they're attacking your city. So stay safe, and we will definitely be tapping in. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. I'd love to be back. Georgia. You guys have a wonderful day.
You too.
You as well. It's a lot going on. It is a whole lot. I saw those Emmys back there. It's always great to see an independent journalist at that. Is that she's able to bring some information that others don't have, and she's able to show her wares. Those Emmys, I love that. I love that.
What we got next? Yeah.
Well, an 83-year-old African-American grandmother from Dallas, her name is Billy Young. She wrote 2 checks back in August 2024, one for her electric bill and another for $14,952 to pay off her car loan. And after Wells Fargo told her the utility payment had not cleared, she stopped that check while being assured that the car loan check had cleared. But a month later, she learned the payment never reached her lender. She obtained a copy showing the payee name and signature had been altered, and despite filing a fraud claim back in October 2024, Niele, Wells Fargo has denied her claim and refused to return her money or to honor the cashier's check to pay off her car loan. Wells Fargo has, their reputation when it comes to the African American community has continually lived up or lived down to the expectations of Black people.
100%. I for some reason, I think that she's going to get some attorney is going to pick this case up and she's going to get her money back. I've seen this story over the past couple of weeks. I just haven't been able to process, like, how did that happen that the check came? I'm still, but I know we mad about this. So I feel like she's going to get an attorney and she's going to get her money back. Because I don't think grandma ain't lying. Give this woman her money back. She made a mistake. And I thought about my grandmother and how my mother and aunts have to help her sometimes because they just make mistakes. Things happen.
And we know she's not lying. And Wells Fargo's not saying she's lying. They're just not honoring this woman's check.
Over a technicality, a day.
Over a technicality. That's
Yeah.
atrocious.
Yeah. And then when you have this type of administration that, in your terms capitulates to the baking industry and things like that, I mean,
The
they
problem
feel
is,
emboldened. They feel emboldened that they can get
Mhm.
away with it because who's going to check them? It's definitely not going to be the federal government.
Nope, no, not this one. And the problem is with Wells Fargo, you would think that they would take better care of this situation because they have been absolutely horrible to Black consumers. It's just a bottom line that their reputation, when you think it can't get any worse, then you get something like Grandma.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just that concept of Fannie Lou Hamer. We get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then you have, and then we go off, and I think that's what, when we have our next guest and our next story is sick and tired of being sick and tired. Black folks just tired, okay? Because of what you're doing to grandma, or what you're doing to our brothers and sisters in Minneapolis. And then it's just one thing that sets it off. So I think this is a good story to remind us how we still have power sometimes when we think we don't. And it's at the most random times when things are set off. So joining us right now, let it be known, family, is the filmmaker who produced the Alabama Brawl movie. It's a documentary. So let's bring him in. His name is William Bush Anderson. I don't know if we can, but we do have the same last name. Welcome, William.
Thank you so much for.
There you go. There you go. I don't see you, but
we don't see you.
Let me see. You don't see me?
No,
not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I'll be working on it as I'm speaking, but I'm truly grateful to be here. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm truly grateful to be here, and yeah, Alabama Brawl. Wow, what a ride! Honestly, it's been such a testimony. In all honesty, that's what I can say about making this. From being.
What made you? Well, okay, so let's start from the top. Are you from Alabama?
No, I'm not actually. I'm from Kentucky originally, and I moved to Georgia when I was 13 years old. So, I lived most of my life in Georgia.
Okay, so what inspired you to make this documentary?
Man, what inspired me the most was actually the Black history behind Alabama Brawl. So the fight was this great spectacle that went viral, obviously. But the Montgomery Riverfront has a major contribution to Black history that a lot of people overlooked, which makes the fight so ironic that it happened there, because the Montgomery Riverfront was a large auction trade for slaves. So this is where slaves got off ships to be sold, and to have Black people, stand together in unison to fight off people that were trying to oppress them. I'm just like, how can I not make something over this?
Well, and the fact that this thing, when it happened, one of the things that we remember most is when my man threw his hat in the air. It was like the black bat signal.
Yeah.
And how much of that? I mean, did you talk? How much did you speak to him? Did you speak to him, and how in depth was that conversation? What was some of the more revealing things that you were able to discern?
Yeah, I did talk to Damien. We went up to Montgomery about a couple times, nothing but 2 hours away from where I am in Georgia. And Damien really wanted to do a interview in the documentary, but for some reason, since Damien's still working for the Harriet II, his boss was saying he doesn't want him to interview. So Damien didn't want to jeopardize his job, which I totally understand, in order to do the interview, because of the attention, obviously, that would have came with it. But we had a good conversation about everything, and where he is now in life, and just looking back on it, and he has no regrets, honestly.
And so that was one challenge you had, and I also saw on your Instagram page that you have tried and attempted to have this documentary on Amazon, believe it was Zeus Network, And you've had a lot of challenges. Why do you think nobody wants to put this on their platform?
That's a great question. I've thought about it, and I think it's just because of how Black folks are being shown within this documentary, right? We're not really used to seeing cinema in which Black people are standing together to fight like oppressors. It kind of has that energy of like a Birth of a Nation by Nate Parker, where he depicted Nat Turner's life, that led a rebellion. And, with finding out about Tubi and it actually just helping the current administration, I was like, well, that kind of makes sense why Tubi said no. And I kind of had to do a deep dive on that information to learn about who actually owns Tubi, which is a large entertainment hub for Black culture. And I was blown away, and I was like, it's starting to make sense now.
It's owned by Fox.
Yeah, it's owned by Fox. Yeah. So, they don't care about us.
They don't care about it. They're not like us. You have on your shirt, I'm noticing the hat, the swimming, the Aquaman, and the chair.
Aquaman. Yeah.
Pivotal moments.
Very much
pivotal
so.
moments.
A lot's been made about the chair. Tell us a little bit about that part of your film.
Oh yeah, with the chair moment. Oh man, Reggie Bernard, that was the gentleman who swung the chair. Yeah, that was, these three things, it really represents the sequence of events that were the biggest things that stood out about the Alabama Brawl. So yeah, Reggie Bernard, he was the only one actually charged, by the way, from the whole crew. But then the woman that he swung the chair on, she didn't press charges against him and stuff. So that was really fascinating to learn in the documentary as well, because I guess she eventually realized, I was actually in the wrong and I deserved to get swung on.
Okay, I see Dr. Marilyn. Yes, we're talking about the large-scale altercation that took place at the Riverfront Dock in downtown Montgomery, Alabama, back in around 2023, right?
Yep. 2023.
Yeah. And so you, before we let you go, what message? Okay, so you did this film. What's the message that you want to send, or you want the viewer to leave with once they watch it?
Absolutely. First off, before I even say that, be sure to support the Alabama Brawl documentary. We're doing this independently since we can't get on major platforms, and we're only selling the movie for $1. Because I wanted everyone to watch it, and that's why we were excited to get it on Tubi, our free platform. Because I don't want to gatekeep access, so we did the next best thing. But the thing that I want viewers to take away is that when we stand together in unison together for whatever that may be, we can accomplish anything that we put our minds to. There's so much of our history in which people had to work with way less. They always say Black people have to work 2 times as harder to complete XYZ. But when I look back in time, I'm just like, they had to work 100 times as hard, and look at what they did to pave the way today. So I would say that's the biggest message I want viewers to take away from the doc.
Oh, that's awesome. Greer has something.
Yeah, Will, I was trying. It's too much to type. I've noticed that now. I bought the movie over a week ago. I've just been so busy, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I tried to do it again. And so you are having, is there a way, are you going to find a way to make sure that people get to see this? Because I can't even purchase it again. I've been trying to purchase this. It's declining a card that has, at least I promise you, I have more than $1 in that account. Okay? I've changed cards. I tried to play it even during this broadcast. It is not allowing me. And so, can you speak to, if at all, about, this system that we're dealing with that's really, it seems like blocking any sort of oppositional, even I'm going to just share with you, all the viewers, even some of the protests I tried to pull up on YouTube this morning. All of a sudden, some of these videos that I had seen before are unavailable from major news organizations. Now, here's, what I mean? You're an independent filmmaker. Well, can you speak to a little bit about that? I mean, we're challenges, but you know, maybe you can, you know, give us some insight on this, on being blocked.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, we have to look at what the current administration is doing anyway, and taking out Black history from exhibits and schools and books. You know, this is everything that they stand for, to really erase what America was built on, which was bloodshed in the back of our people. So, you know, Alabama Brawl is literally an outlier in that, and they don't want it to be seen, right? They don't want people to know this side of history, in which, you know, people that were being oppressed, they stood up to their oppressors, and that's just not a good look, at least for the current administration, for how they want to demonstrate how America was actually built, right? Because that shows opposition, that shows a rally. They don't want Black folks to know these things. So, you know, I actually have a conversation coming up today with Nate Parker, who did Birth of a Nation. So we're going to try to get Alabama Brawl on his streaming platform, called Mansa. Because, you know, just to go back to her point, it is frustrating when I hear people say, you know, they failed to make a transaction worth $1. Because I'm like, you know,
somebody is saying right now.
What are they saying?
They're saying, I couldn't get on your platform this morning. It said this video unavailable twice.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, so so the thing is, we had it on YouTube as well, right? And that was my general plan. Like, okay, we're gonna try to go for Amazon. Amazon declined it. Then I was like, okay, we'll just put it on YouTube so it can be for free. But then YouTube age restricts Alabama Brawl, as if it's like the most violent thing in the world, which I know there's way worse things on YouTube that's not age restricted. But when a piece of content becomes age restricted, that's like basically sending it to the graveyard, because then nobody can see it unless they're over 18. But then YouTube is weird about that, because then it won't even like push that video anymore, because they won't make money from it. So I was like, okay, well, if YouTube won't accept us, surely Tubi will accept us. Nope, Tubi won't either. So, you know, the next best thing was just to sell it on the website. But I'm actually shocked to hear people are even having problems transacting with it on the website as well, because I've had some orders come through, but to now hear like, you know, Gear say that, I'm just like, I'm actually dumbfounded now. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Interesting. Well, definitely good luck with Nate Parker. And once you get that distribution, come on back with Nate. Let's have a conversation about his streaming platform and how he's providing opportunities for Black men like you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
And by the way, Mike V says they allow Jake Paul to punch Black men out, but block your joint, Will. They block your stuff. So, but thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And all the best with this.
Yes. Good
Thank y'all so much.
And sell those t-shirts. I like the t-shirt.
Oh, y'all can get it. Y'all can get it now. We got the shirts on the website, AlabamaBrawlMovie.com. Y'all can get this t-shirt. We have some other ones as well. Based off the brawl, we got Black People Can Swim. We got Standing on Business with the Chair. We got This Is My Bat Signal, and there's a hat in the middle of it. So, you know, y'all can get merch now at AlabamaBrawlMovie.com.
Thank you for that. I will be checking that out for sure. And Greer, a note for you. They were talking about Let It Be Known. They tried to purchase Let It Be Known this morning, and it wouldn't allow them to.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that and fix that. One thing I want to note as well, you know, it's just it's astounding to me. So you can play. There can be Stephen Miller on YouTube talking about and promoting violence, right? But you can't have the Alabama Brawl on there. I just don't understand. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There are depictions of the Holocaust on YouTube, but you can't show the Alabama Brawl. I'm really there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of the membership, I will fix that, everyone. So please, come back. And also, just come on back with that.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, even for us, like me wanting to promote the show on social media, I had to think of different techniques to be able to even, promote the show, because they would shadow ban if I said anything, too critical of the, the Black experience. Is that no, I had to say, what cereal are you eating? Oatmeal or cream of wheat? And then go into something. So it's like you have to really trick the algorithm, because they really are shadow banning Black voices and things that oppose this administration. It is real, folks. 100%.
Lauren says
real.
that they are blocking the George Floyd videos as well.
See? Mm-hmm. And Michelle Madison, for real, for me too. I'm ordering me a shirt. I want one, and I'm gonna wear it on Swag Friday. It's all about Black love and Black power.
And Mike V wants to let it be known t-shirt, Niele, an Afro comb and African medallion and a black fist. That's what he wants on Let It Be Known.
Say less. Say less.
Yeah, she's in charge of merch. So
listen, say less. Say less, Mike V. Say less. Let's keep it coming in. Tell us what you want.
But speaking of, Black folks standing up, you guys are going to like this one. A group calling itself the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense showed up at a protest in Philadelphia last week carrying weapons. Okay, so the group says it is a resurgence of the Black Power group from the 1960s, and has been trained by some of the original party's surviving members. So the group has been holding regular weekly food programs in the North Philadelphia for several years. And this is according to the 39-year-old Paul Birdsong of West Philadelphia, who identifies himself as the Black Panther Party's national chairman. And so, we're talking about protecting our own, and it's happening in Philadelphia. We might need to try to get him on the show, Stacy.
What I find most interesting in all of what you just said about the new Black Panthers is the part about the regular weekly free food programs. Every civil rights, every Black, doesn't have to be just civil rights, but it seems like for me, it seems like every Black organization, there's food involved to make sure that those in need can eat. Yeah. That I find to be a staple in from all time in Black history, Black American history, at least.
And they're following, the mission of what the Black Panthers were known for in the 60s, because that was like a huge part of the work that they did for our communities, and it builds trust. It builds trust in the community, breaking bread. I know every Sunday, Black Lives Matter, because they have an office right in Leimert Park. Leimert Park here in LA is the Black community, Crenshaw District. You have our Black newspaper, the LA Sentinel, tons of Black owned businesses. You can find the drummers. The drummers are out on Sundays. And they pass out food because it's part of the work. It's part of, serving your community and loving thy neighbor, my brother's keeper. It's more than just a protest. It is like a daily call to action. And so, when we look at programs like this, it's important because, of course, the news is not going to tell us that the Black Panthers are protecting Black folks, because they always don't want us to remember that the Second Amendment right is for us as well. It ain't just for white folks. And if they can carry an open arm out in the streets, guess what? To protect theirs, we can do the same. And it's that's what we're getting to.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. RNG makes this point though, and I understand why he's making this point. Niele, he says, I caution those young brothers. Too many people are rushing to their cause. He says, remember the FBI infiltrated the original Panthers and other civil rights organizations. He says, stay off of social media. I get his point on that. And Mike V says, don't forget they locked up Grandmaster Jay from the Not Freaking Around coalition for pointing his flashlight at ATF officers during the pandemic. That is also true. So these are caution. Things happen that you're not supposed to allow to repeat. History, certain parts of history to repeat itself, right? And that's one. So these should be lessons. What Mike V points out, what Orange E points out, these are lessons that we should be very much aware of.
Well, this wasn't on social media. This was actually out of a local newspaper in Philadelphia.
Right.
And so they're just doing the work. And most of the time, these groups are just doing the work.
He's telling them, he's advising them that whatever you do, stay off social media. That's his advice to.
No, I get it. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I haven't seen them on social media, so I think they're good. This was a story, a journalist reporting on what was happening in Philadelphia.
Maria?
Well, I think it's important that we learn about those things without revealing anything. We find out that these things happen because, like, to Niele's point, these stories aren't being made aware, and we need a little bit of inspiration, because I'm gonna tell you something. I was talking about the brothers last week. I said, what happened to all these brothers talking about I could never be a slave, and they're dead out. They are folding like I could never be a slave. If I was a slave, and they're joining ICE. You know what I'm saying? So we need
for $40,000 and $30,000 a pop,
right?
Because that's the story that's not being told.
They getting McDonald's money.
Yeah, but you can go on the website and find it. You know what I'm saying? That what they get to be a part, they get one lump sum. There were officers in Minneapolis that were caught on camera saying that they were getting $30,000 to $40,000 a pop to join ICE. There are videos out that are saying, now it is alleged, but if you check the Homeland Security website or fill out an application and you see some of these viral videos, $30,000 to $40,000 a pop of our taxpayers' monies are going to ICE and Homeland Security.
And we need to make sure that that folks understand that in addition to all of the other horrific things that they're doing, these people are also these ICE untrained people giving guns, and as we see the murders that are happening, and they're grabbing Black folks up off the street, women, and raping them. Okay, that's happening.
Oh my gosh! Did you see the video yesterday?
Right.
Oh, and that even members of Congress and the Senate are up in arms about where the ICE agent takes a woman into the porta potty.
Right.
It's like, what's going on here?
Right. And Black Virginia News says they're joining ICE for $50K. Okay, so and that could be based upon your race. Okay, give the Black.
Is this you saying this is one lump sum? So that's all they get?
No. They to join. It's an incentive.
I would love to know, and Black Virginia News is saying no ID. I am curious to know though, how many people are really getting that money? Because we know how gangs work now. Sometimes they lure you in, and then and we're talking about the this is Gestapo style. Straight up.
Of course, yeah.
It's the complete playbook of what they did in Nazi Germany, going door to door, people having to hide in their bed. This is exactly what happened. So, but I would be curious to know what.
No, Lauren is saying they are getting the money because they are the observers, because that's basically what Renee Good was an observer, right? They're filming them. They're blowing the whistles. When they come, they bang the pots, they blow the whistles, and they're filming and they're agitating. They're not agitating, but they're getting on the ICE agents' nerves because they can't just come in and do what they want. And so they're filming all of this and they're saying what they're getting. Okay. And then if you go to Homeland Security, you'll see it.
Can't trust it. And here's another thing. We know these cats ain't going to college. I'm in a college signing bonus. Get out of here. Come on.
So
the sad thing is,
some people do sign up for college for the student loans. They tell me, like, let me get this student loan because I could use it right now. So it's just a racket, and at the forefront of it is the Trump Klan administration. Okay.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that prior to now, ICE did not have this type of a reputation at all. It just took a second for him to start hiring, and in some cases, former police officers, people leaving the military, to ICE, but you can rest assured that some of those thousands of people that he pardoned for January 6th are part of ICE. Some of the Proud Boys, some of the other racist groups are
and they're
Proud
in there
Boy
too.
members.
They're in there too.
Yeah.
And you always have
Same.
to remember that at the head of this is Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller comes out of Steve Bannon's camp. They
Mhm.
started together at BlackPress, and when Steve Bannon went to the White House, he brought Stephen Miller with him.
Yeah.
So when you look at what's happening, Steve Bannon is just as much as in that White House as Stephen Miller is standing there. And so all of their clan that they used to rile up on BlackPress and all of the clan meetings they used to travel to all across the country, those are the individuals that are spread all throughout ICE. And that's why, like, when you heard, call Black Lives Matter what you want, but they had been calling to abolish, right? Abolish the police. We need police. Abolish. I have not heard so many people last week said that ICE needs to be abolished. And that is federal sanctioned violence. And now people understand what that means, because it is not, that we need immigration reform, but it is that that ICE is reminiscent of slave catchers. The way that they are operating and moving, they are reminiscent of slave captures. So when you say abolish, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and Lauren says, let's say it. She says it's a $50K payout to random unidentified, mostly white men to hand them $50K while he defunds everyone and everything black.
Right. Untrained, because there is a special technique and training that goes along with policing, with and we're going to get into it later this week, but the IDF, the Israel's Department of Defense, they go over there for training, and ICE has an office over in Israel, so they're getting that type of training of how they did the people over in Israel. So as Americans, we really need to pay attention to what this Trump administration is doing, because what they're doing, like Gestapo, it's reminiscent of slave owners and slavery. It's reminiscent of all the horrible things that have happened to this world from white men, period.
And moving on to some sports.
Wait, Laura says, is the bounty hunter system truly dangerous?
Yeah, it is. Yep. None of them have been trained, she says.
None of them.
Flexi, and
they might have been trained at the Klan camp. They might have been trained at the Klan camp with Klan things, but that's about it.
Yeah. All right, so we are getting into some sports. The WNBA and its players union have again failed to reach a new collective bargaining agreement, and they missed the deadline, which was this past Friday night, that pushes the league into a status quo period after two prior extensions, as the sides remain far apart on core issues like salary structure, revenue sharing. The league's most recent proposal would guarantee a $1 million maximum base salary in 2026, rising to $1.3 million through revenue sharing and potentially nearly $2 million over the life of the deal, while giving players more than 70% of net revenue after expenses such as facilities, travel, housing, medical care, security, and arenas. But under that offer, the average salary would jump from $120,000 to more than $530,000 and exceed $770,000 later in the agreement, with the minimum salary going from $67,000 to about $250,000 in the first year. So the WNBA and its players continue to bump heads at the bargaining table.
Meanwhile, Asia Wilson is supporting her man on the court, And Juju Watkins over the weekend, well, last week, her number was retired. First player ever at Sierra Canyon High School, which produces a lot of college
Yeah.
all-stars. Her number over the fellas, over LeBron's kids, over, all the kids. Her number was retired over the weekend, and it was just such everybody waiting for Juju to come back. And I'm only saying that because Juju is going to make an impact on the WNBA. So let's get it right by the time she gets there. Okay, let's get it right, WNBA.
Yeah. Well, I think that WNBA is in a position where they're negotiating, right? But they missed the extension deadline on Friday. Like I said, this is the third time. But they have to get a deal done. A deal that the players can live with, because there are more and more opportunities opening up for these players every single day. It seems the WNBA is the commissioner and whoever else is going to, if they don't do something, they're going to allow this league to revert back to irrelevancy. Because right now, they're
it's not going to revert back to irrelevancy.
Listen, if they don't get this done,
female basketball,
they got other.
Yeah, that's like saying
no, they got other. No, you got to
NBA.
understand. The NBA pays its players, right? The NBA, these guys, you got guys making $60-65 million a year. What I'm telling you is that there are other opportunities for these women now.
Mhm.
Other leagues are developing and stuff. The I'm not saying women's basketball is in jeopardy. I'm saying the WNBA has put itself in jeopardy. The USFL, the ABA, they know more, right? This can happen to the WNBA, and those women could go on and have great careers in other leagues. That's what they're risking.
I think the first call to action for the WNBA is to get rid of the commissioner. I think it's been well documented and well spoken by many WNBA players that they do not like the commissioner. And so if they really want to start with making change, it starts with the commissioner. Get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, get the league together by the time Juju gets there. Okay. Just make it happen.
So switching gears to the NFL, and kudos, Lauren Burke hit me to a couple of these incidents early this morning. In fact, it didn't happen early this morning. So when she introduced me to these things, but there are two videos that are trending online about interviews with football coaches, and I knew, Lauren, that I recognized the voice, one of the voices that was doing the consoling of NFL coaches, including one from the Cleveland Browns' coach from a week or so ago. But this one I found to be very interesting. I think we have the clip. Or maybe we don't have the clip. So, but nonetheless, the Jacksonville Free Press's Lynn Jones, she spent so after the game, the Jacksonville Jaguars lost in the playoffs. And after the game, Here we go.
I want to tell you congratulations on your success, young man. You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all right?
you,
you keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
I want to tell you congratulations on
That was Lynn Jones of the Jacksonville Free Press. Jacksonville Free Press is a part of the National News Publishers Association. Yeah, folks, there's been an official change name from the National Newspaper Publishers Association to the National News Publishers Association, the Black Press, folks. Here's the thing, and it is certainly don't want to go down the road of criticizing our own. Those press conferences, folks, are for questions from journalists. And Lynn is a good journalist. Lynn Jones is a really good journalist. But was that the place, Niele, for that?
I mean, yeah. She just
Really?
gave him some. Yeah. I mean,
Is it her job to encourage him?
I was looking for the question, but at the same time, she sounded like she was a little older. She sounded like she was a publisher. And so she just gave her opinion. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm sure somebody else came next with a question. It's fine.
Oh Lord, RNG agrees with you. He said the black woman from Jacksonville sounded just like a black woman in her natural element, a savior in a time of need. Salute to her.
Right.
I just.
mean, she was like rubbing him on the back.
Yeah,
rubbing him on the back.
I cringe in those situations.
Do we know? I mean,
like
the clip was cut. The clip was cut, but we really don't know if she did ask. She might have asked him a question. That's just the clip. So we don't know if she asked him a question or not, really.
That has, in my view, as a longtime journalist, this is my opinion. Yeah, I get it. You can't fight with y'all on that, but it has no place in the locker room. There's another one from the Cleveland Browns. Let's just check that out.
I just want to say this. I'm not going to be in Cincinnati, and I really hope this is not the last time we get to talk to you face to face. I think you've had to deal with things, especially this year, that were unfair, that you had to coach a team that was, especially on offense, that was inferior to the teams that you faced. So I don't expect you to answer that. I just want you to know that's how I feel.
I respect that from you, as you know, and you guys know this game it is never going to be about one person, and that includes me.
I just want to say this.
Again, now this, I don't know this journalist. Sounds like a middle-aged white journalist. Again, I take issue with it. I take big issue with that. Even if you have outside of that a personal relationship with this guy, but in that case, you shouldn't be covering them. But if you have that type of relationship, that does not belong in the pool where you get to ask questions. That just takes up unnecessary time, and it shows a bias. It's terrible. It's terrible journalism. It's not journalism. It's like being at the White House, like now, and that's what they got at the White House now, folks. So it used to be able to make this comparison, but being at the White House press room, the only persons or people Carolyn Levitt calls on now are those who are have capitulated to the government. Thomas Patterson, Coach Thomas Patterson is writing in, women don't support the WNBA, period. You can't blame men for not supporting when women don't first. I've been around it a long time now. The W is encouraging tough play to attract viewers like old school 80s NBA. Terrible for our women. Overseas began to take them all with huge salaries. Once Caitlin Clark goes, all will follow and play there only. I don't know. I think women do support the WNBA, Coach.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think that before, I believe that could be a true statement. Before this, you have to really give the credit to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark for, calling attention. I think people were starting to pay attention, during March Madness and things. But this right here, that Angel Reese thing right there, I was hooked. Stay left. I'm there every game. And then you begin to realize how talented these players are. And then you got Don Steely on the sideline. There's so much excitement to me right now with college and the WNBA female basketball that I do believe there was a time where that statement could be true, but I don't believe that anymore. I know out here, USC games and Juju, just because she's on the sideline, games are selling out. And I believe that that's happening, like Ozzie Fuzz coming out of Connecticut.
She is awesome.
She is awesome. And she stepped into, Paige Buckner now is WNBA. She's another reason why we're watching. That's a badass white girl. Okay.
So just to be clear, and Coach Patterson is clearing that up, and I'm glad he cleared it because it makes sense. He says support comes from merchandise, right, and everything. And that, I will say, I have to agree with him on that. I don't see much of anybody supporting the WNBA.
Oh, no, that's
that
not
way.
True. That's
no,
not
I'm
true.
just saying
I'm just saying that's not true, because if that was the case, Asia Wilson wouldn't have a sneaker deal. Angel Reese wouldn't have sneaker deals.
I still don't see enough of it. Nearly enough.
But it is, you know why it's enough? because these Reebok and Nike would not be investing in women if they didn't see a ROI, and that is a return on investment. These big shoe companies and Fanatics, they are not investing in women if they're not going to get a return on their investment. The game is changing.
It's about speculation too, Niele. It's about speculation. When you make investments, you're speculating. Doesn't mean that it's happening.
Come on, that's like saying Mike. Then they speculated
Well,
with Michael
yes,
Jordan.
they did. Yes,
they speculated with Michael Jordan and Aaron
before he came.
Okay?
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
and it paid off.
Right, and it's paying off for Juju Watkins. It's paying off for Angel Reese.
It's paying off individuals. Yes, as individuals. The big picture. What we are saying.
He says support comes from merch and everything.
Right.
That is part of merchandise. What are you saying?
Okay. He said earlier that women and others don't support. He's not talking about the companies. He's talking about the people. I don't ever recall I go to Madison Square Garden a lot. I go down to Washington to the arenas there a lot. I don't ever recall. I still can't tell you that I saw. My sister's a big WNBA fan. I don't see her wearing no WNBA jerseys or the shoes or anything like that. People, we're talking about people and supporting them that way. Nike can give Juju a $20 million deal. Doesn't mean that they're going to make $20 million off of it.
Okay, we can agree to this.
Yeah, you know, the first Black woman that was rubbing the dude's back, that's me right now trying to rub Stacy's back.
I mean, we can agree to disagree because I totally disagree. And I'm fine with it.
I'm going for what I said.
I'm fine with it. White men, everything for white men is transactional, and they are not doing no big multi-million-dollar investment if they not believe they're going to have an ROI. So,
and I think that there is, you know, and Stacy,
right now, wait, I would invest right now in Juju Watkins, not knowing, but really believing that she's gonna her merchandise will sell. I believe that.
Is Asia Wilson's is selling.
Okay, wait a minute.
Already.
Okay,
Asia Wilson is selling. Angel Reese, she's so bad. She got Reese
selling where?
Peanut butter
I don't
cups.
see. My point is, I don't see it.
But
it's the eye
you
test.
Don't see it. Don't make it. It ain't
but
true.
Here's a coach.
Here's
a professional coach. A professional coach is on the line saying that it doesn't happen.
Listen, and that's fine.
Argue. That's fine.
Yeah, it ain't nothing to argue about. But I'll say, listen, let me just.
I see NBA jerseys everywhere. I see football.
Of
NFL
course, you're going to see.
Yeah, but that's
the NBA got right, and the NBA.
You just made my point.
Yeah,
you just made my point.
What is that point?
You said overtime. You said overtime.
And that's what's happening. Overtime, back in the day, Cheryl Miller and them wasn't getting these type of deals. Overtime. You're exactly right.
You
just did a story. Stacy, you just did a story. You just did a story about the bargaining and negotiations. You know why that is? It's because the sport has become more valuable.
It's not the same.
It's the same.
It's not. Well, I don't agree.
What he's saying is the support. He's not saying that. He even wrote in that some games are selling out. He's saying people are going. People are watching.
Right. So
they're they're not spending their money the way they spend it with other sports. I don't see Angel Reese jerseys. I don't see Caitlin Clark jerseys. I don't see Juju jerseys.
Maybe it's because you don't live in those states where they play.
That's irrelevant. You see Michael Jordan's jerseys the world over.
That's like you're gonna see tons of Lakers jerseys in New York.
You do. You see tons of Bucks jerseys in New York. You see tons of Celtic jerseys in New York, just like you see Knicks jerseys in New York. His point, I get it. Y'all don't want to get it.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I have.
Okay, and let me just say this too.
I'm a viewer, and viewership matters too. All of the things matter. The viewership is up. The game numbers are up. Their merchandise is up. Okay, it might not be where you think it should be as a male professional team, but at the end of the day, the numbers are growing. That's why these companies are investing. But you said that
it has something to do with it.
You want it to be like that?
Nothing to do with what we're saying, though.
Okay. So, but let me just throw this part in there, right? That I think kind of speaks to both points. I've heard on ESPN many of them, the commentators discuss how in terms of popularity, the WNBA has grown, but also I think you cannot compare what's happened and what's happening with the NBA in terms of merch and things and all those kinds of things, because men have already, they have an advantage because the money was already being invested in them. And I think that's really the case across the board in our society. Men are going to get the edge because they're the ones who wanting to also elevate the idea that women cannot dominate over men when it comes to sales, when it comes to popularity, when it comes to all those things. Even if this is what's happening on the ground, that is not the narrative that's going to be sold, and certainly not in the era that we live in now. So I believe that there may be some, that what you're saying, Stacy, there may be some validity to it, but I think there's a nuance to that conversation that we're not really, focusing on. It's not that the narrative even is under control by men, right? And so, and I think when it's convenient, when someone's looking sexy or whatever, men like to talk about it. Oh, it sounds great, or maybe they didn't like in this season this year. Come on, let's keep it real. Men are going to always dominate that narrative, right? That women aren't, they're not as popular. And I don't buy it no more than I buy that the white folks are still the majority in this country. But that's just me.
I don't think, again, Tommy Patterson and myself are not saying that they're not popular. What we're saying is, where is the support by what we see with the other sports? Where is that
but
support?
The support is growing. When what we're saying is,
you're right, Stacy. Listen, right there, Niele. He says something that's accurate. The support isn't there, but it is growing, and the fact that these women have these major deals, that means something significant.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not that it's not growing. The sport is growing. It's not that there's.
You have jerseys. Do you have jerseys from?
But I don't have basketball. I don't have I don't have an NBA jersey either. But I watch. That's
and that's not something that. And let's keep it real.
What does that mean?
That may not be. That's a jersey. Listen.
Jersey. But that's what he said.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what he said.
It does not mean
they're watching.
A jersey is not something that a woman, let's just say the average woman, even average woman, that might not be something that she would wear. But we're different beasts in that way, right? But it doesn't mean.
Greer, when I go to games, I see just as many women wearing jerseys as I see men, and they're wearing.
That's a very masculine thing, nonetheless. You're more likely to see a Michael Jordan or LeBron jersey than you might see an Angel Reese. It does not mean that there's no real support. She has other products. If Angel Reese came out with a makeup line right now, I'm telling you.
I
actually have a story about Angel Reese tomorrow that we're going to talk about just to show. So here's the thing. We're going to agree to disagree on this. At the end of the day, WNBA basketball, women playing basketball, the sport is growing. It's more than it was yesterday, and it will continue to grow. Now, whatever numbers or deliverables you and Mr. Thomas are looking for right now, it might not be there, but it doesn't mean that people aren't supporting it. That's why you did the story about the negotiation.
Some people are supporting it.
But you're saying that it's not relevant as it should be, right? It's not support. But the thing is, the more we talk about it, the more women support it, it's going to continue to grow. And it's growing. It's growing. People are supporting it. They got tissue deals. They got makeup deals. They got Victoria's Secret deals.
Right.
That wouldn't happen if they wasn't popping.
Right. But everything but basketball related. Because as the coach said,
sneakers are basketball related.
But they're not selling. They are not yet selling.
Who told you that?
It's obvious. Okay, give me do this.
Who's telling you that Asia Wilson's tennis shoes are not selling? Who's telling you that Angel Reese's sneakers sold out in the first day they came out?
Yeah.
Google it.
WNBA merchandise sales. In fact, according to ACCIO, the merchandise sales are trending downward after a 500% increase 2 years ago.
Okay, well, Google Angel Reese's shoes and see if they didn't sell out.
That's one person. That's one person.
You know what? And that's one article. But that's one article, Stacy.
That's one.
But
I'm saying.
Article.
Okay, the article on the sales. The article on the sales.
That's one article. We can always find something to defend our point of view. That's all I'm gonna say right there.
No, but that's not an opinion.
Articles, but
that is not an opinion.
But I can always. It's not. But you can correct. But you can go to another source, and they will pull statistics a different way to prove your point.
You can't. Okay, so we can play with the numbers, right? Is what you're saying.
Donald Trump does it every day. He does it every day.
So we're gonna measure everything by Donald Trump.
But my point is, you could play with the numbers. That's why he's trying to get rid of the Fed guy, because he wants to play with the numbers.
Y'all have made this an antagonistic thing. All I was saying,
it's not an antagonistic thing. It's just that we don't agree.
Okay, I'm just going by facts, so I can't disagree with facts. Can't disagree with facts. We can all we want, but that makes us wrong.
I bet you be wise, intelligent. I bet you that's a man talking about, I need to get out of my feelings. This is embarrassing. Because I'm speaking up for Black women. And women
I'm not speaking against Black women.
I'm speaking up for women in sports.
I'm not speaking against Black women or women, period, in sports. What I'm saying is that I think Coach Patterson said the same thing. Y'all need to just show some more support.
Okay,
women in general need to show more support.
Women in general. So now female basketball is just for women. That's what we're saying. Men don't have to support. The women need to step up.
There's another road. Go ahead. Go on to the World Cup, because now we're getting ridiculous.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's
from
ridiculous.
Your point, not mine.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, now you're going to, okay, only women need to support it. We're talking about the Women's National Basketball Association. We're not talking about the Men's National Basketball Association. And the comment was about the merchandise for women. Do you expect men to go out and buy women's jerseys for themselves?
Ooh, you said it, not me. All right, so men can't wear women's jerseys. It would be wrong for them to go buy a
first of all, I don't even wear men's jersey. I don't even wear.
Nobody's talking about
on
you.
me.
No,
but
we're talking about men
somewhere
in general.
I said, as a man, I don't put nobody's name on my back except my own. Number one. But number two, no, women's clothes are for women for the most part.
So a man can't wear a female jersey? You're saying no?
Well, who are they making them for? It's like the men's jerseys for the most part was made until they got so popular. Then the women started wearing them.
Okay. All right. And on that note, let's talk about the World Cup. Now, calls to boycott the 2026 World Cup are intensifying, y'all, following the ICE killings of Renee Good and Keith Porter. Now, the hashtag boycott World Cup is trending, urging international fans to cancel plans to attend matches in the U.S. because of safety concerns and the political climate. Now, of course, the World Cup will be between the United States, Canada, and Mexico, June 11th through July 19th. And reports show that over 16,000 tickets have been returned or put back on the market because nobody wants to come to the United States right now. Look.
Well, in addition to that, did you see the ticket prices?
What are they?
Oh my gosh, you got some tickets selling for as much as $80,000 for a ticket. These prices are, so I heard about this some time ago, and more recently, the last week or so, I've been looking at the different prices on places like StubHub and Ticketmaster.
Mm-hmm.
The high price is like $80,000, $85,000 per ticket.
I mean,
what in the world? So yeah, I agree that there are a lot of people don't want to come here. Why would they, right? But then the other part is tickets. I mean, the average, if you want to get a seat, it depends on who you're going to see, which game or which country you're going to support. If you want to get a seat in the very nosebleeds, even those are running into the 5 figures at times. It's like unbelievable. And we're not talking about the whole, event for the, you're talking about one game only.
Yeah.
So they need to look at that.
Well, I mean, definitely the political climate is a huge issue.
Absolutely.
Boycott is a huge issue. But what this is really going to have is a huge impact on, I know, being here in LA, because they've been planning for this. I know Mayor Butts, James T. Butts, who is the mayor of Inglewood, which SoFi sits in. And then you have the Intuit Dome, which is where the Clippers play. Then you have the LA Forum, all of these big entertainment centers. You have the YouTube Theater. All of these centers sit in his city. And him and the city council have been planning for this for at least since, before he got reelected the last time around. And so all of the resources and construction and getting the people meters and the railroad, the trams and the A line and the B line to make sure the city is crossing to bring these people into our city, all this is in jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not just a cost for the fans, but it's the impact it's going to have on the city.
It's a shame that a president of the United States would put the country, any city, any state, any areas of the country, would put them in a position where they're going to lose so much revenue.
Yeah. It's all because we're
really
blue state. It's all because we're blue state. So when we talk about and we look about what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then it's blue states that he's attacking. And so, it's like, what is this going to be? Is this what the new Civil War looks like? Blue states against the federal government? Because that's pretty much where we are right now. At the way he's trying to take away liberties and funding and resource. You see, just this weekend, they pulled all of the funding from SNAP from Minnesota. So they get no federal funding. So unless the state has the capacity to issue out that money, those people will not receive SNAP coming the 15th and the 1st of the month if the state doesn't have the funding, because the federal government closed the door. No more money.
Let me ask you a question. Have you been to the Intuit Dome?
Yes, I have. I was actually there. I had my hard hat. I was there when they were building it. So
tell me, because it's one of the most intriguing places. I obviously haven't been. What's it like? It's state of the art. And it depends on when you go. If you get all of those bells and whistles, I actually haven't seen this big wall, the crowd wall. It's supposed to be this fan wall. I haven't seen that. I haven't had the opportunity to experience that yet. But the screen and stuff, right?
It's just a fancy, up to date arena for Hollywood. The VIP boxes are, state of the art. The way that you can go out into the arena and things like that. But I give kudos to Mayor James T. Butts, African American, who saw a vision, because the city of Inglewood was in a deficit, Stacy, when he came. And he has come there and brought 2 NFL teams, a basketball team, and created a whole entertainment center. Inglewood is probably the largest right now entertainment city in the nation when you think of sports, from basketball to football to concert venues. It's all right there in one jam-packed place. And so I give kudos to him and what's going on at that Intuit Dome.
That's awesome, because I've heard, I've seen on television, but I know seeing on television is different from being in person.
Yeah, and SoFi is amazing. Okay, SoFi, that arena, and it's just, even when you're coming down the freeway, or coming, just passing, the way that it's designed and built, and the NFL headquarters sit on that property. So you have the NFL headquarters
is the Rams or the Chargers?
Both
of them, right?
Both play there, and you have NFL headquarters.
A friend and his wife have season tickets to SoFi for, I think it's the Rams, and I know that they go all the time. They love it.
Parking is $100 plus, but
of course.
So let's jump into so we'll keep you posted on that, because we have what do we have? The All-Star weekend is here next month in LA. And then next month we have the Super Bowl. I mean, next year we have the Super Bowl. You know, this summer, the World Cup. And then in 2028, we're supposed to have the Olympics. Now, the World Cup, all this stuff is on the table because if mayhem breaks out, who's going to come here? You know, it won't be no female, it won't be no WNBA or no NBA. Okay.
Well, and to your earlier point, it's hard to imagine, you know, how the America puts certain countries on its watch list or no-fly list or what. It's hard to imagine other countries won't at some point determine that the US is too dangerous to go to.
Right. So there we have it. Last night the Golden Globes were on. Did you see them, Stacy?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I love to watch the beginning. Nikki Glaspер did an amazing job. I think she's funny. She's just funny. But big wins that came out of that night. Tiana Taylor won for Best Supporting Actress for One Battle After Another. And remember, I said it gave Monsters Ball vibes. And, you know, Halle Berry won. Tiana Taylor won. Chad, have you guys had a chance to watch One Battle After Another yet? If you have, chime in the chat, let us know what you think. And then of course Sinners picked up 2 awards for Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, because we know the box office sales were just crazy. And Raphael Sadiq came out with Best Original Score. So unfortunately, our guy Michael B. Jordan didn't get Best Actor, and of course Ryan Coogler didn't get Best Director, which I know I was rooting for. I won't say I'll say I was hoping for, but it didn't happen. But I love the way that when they won for Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, that he gave his wife, he yielded to his wife to give her the opportunity to give her thank yous, because she was and played a significant role in that movie.
I understand that Tiana Taylor's acceptance speech, it was tearful and pointed at Black and brown women.
She did. She ended it on that note, and it was great. It was great to see. It was a good night. Not for everybody, but of course, you know, we came out with 3 awards, maybe some more, but those were the highlights that we know. Sinners, and of course Tiana Taylor.
And it used to be that the Golden Globes, when you saw the winners of the Golden Globes, most likely they were going to win the Oscar.
Yeah.
But that has stopped. That has changed in recent years.
Oh, it has. Okay.
Yeah, that has changed. Yeah.
All right. And we were talking about Mario Guevara earlier, the journalist that was deported back to El Salvador. But another person that we want to keep in mind is founding member of the 80s band Loose Ends. I'm talking about Jane Eugene. She's still being detained by ICE for nearly 3 months, okay, because of a visa overstay. Now, if deported, she faces the possibility of being banned from the U.S. for at least a decade. Yeah. And I mean, that's how that's how they made their money. She would be out here at all the time with these festivals, Loose Ends. Their hits, You Got Me Hanging on String, and what's another one? What's another one of their hits?
Well, that's the one I was gonna say if you said what some of their hits.
Keep on moving. Come on, y'all.
Keep on moving. Okay.
That is Soul to Soul, girl.
You're right. You're right.
Soul to Soul.
You see, she said stop playing. Okay.
But this is just, you know, Trump ICE, you know, just picking up folks, and you know, hey, our music lovers. And finally, last but not least, on a note, we want to give condolences to the family of veteran actor T.K. Carter, who has died at the age of 69. Now, he was declared dead on Friday evening after deputies responded to a call regarding an unresponsive male in Durant, California, according to Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Now, police did not disclose the cause of death or other details, but said no foul play was suspected.
Yeah, another one gone. What was he? 60? What? He was in his 60s, and man, you know, it's a shame to see anybody, but these talented individuals seem to drop so early.
Orange G said, but Nicki Minaj is still here. Make
it make sense. Oh
That's
my God.
cold-blooded, Orange G. But no, if you don't know TK Carter, I mean, his credits are crazy. I mean, Punky Brewster, Good Times, The Waltons, The Jeffersons. Yeah, that's what I said. The Waltons, The Jeffersons, 227. Well, Ty Bridges played on Little House on the Prairie. So,
Sure
I
did.
mean, he played in Family Matters, The Sinbad Show, Moesha, The Steve Harvey Show, The Nanny, Southern Comfort, Dr. Detroit, and my favorite, Martian, and Space Jam. So, I mean, he was getting the roles.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
He was also on Def Comedy Jam as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Russell Simmons. All right.
Yeah.
Who was the host when he was on there? Was it Martin?
It might have been Martin. Yeah, because it goes back. Because Martin was the original host, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it may have been Martin. Wow. And RNG says TK was a member of the Awesome Foursome. The Awesome Foursome on Good Times. Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, since Greer has the Instagram information up, in case you haven't heard, Instagram is dealing with a major data breach. Now, according to several news sources, personal information of 17.5 million users were exposed to leaked data, including your usernames, email addresses, phone numbers, and other details. Now, this is sparking concern about privacy and online security. I don't know if I'm one of those people. Do you know if you're one of them, Stacy?
I don't know.
How will we know?
That's a good question. How will we know?
How will we know? So that's just a heads up, folks. You know, if you get any alerts or any type of strange emails, just remember that breach happened.
And again, experts say it's good to change your password every so often. I'm not good with that. Keeping up with it, but you should probably consider it. My problem is you have so many accounts. It's like, man, you don't want the same password for each. They tell you as well, and it's just hard to remember them all.
I know. I don't even want to talk about it because then somebody might figure out my pattern. So let me not say too much. It's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. Goodness grief. Some Black history. Are we ready for that? On this date in 1948, in the case of Sipwell versus Oklahoma State Board of Regents, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the state of Oklahoma grant admission to qualified Black students applying to previously all-white state law schools, and that the state must provide equal educational opportunities regardless of race, which overturned the Supreme Court of Oklahoma's decision against race-based initiatives. So here we are again, all these years later, back to square one with this particular administration.
You know, and then it's like, how fast can you fix it? Like we were talking about, Keith Ellison saying that, you might not be able to prosecute Jonathan Ross right now because basically they don't have the courage to do it. But if, when things change down the road, the statute of limitation doesn't end. So we can prosecute them then. But what if you're not in office? What if the administration is changed, but now it's a Republican that's an AG? So that's not a guarantee to wait.
And also any prosecutor will tell you that the longer you wait to take something to trial, the less chance of a conviction, because you get older, people's memories fade, evidence dies, somehow gets more contaminated. It's a lot.
Right, it's a lot. So, to this Black History fact, here we are again having the same conversations about equality and fairness in this country. Crazy.
College admissions. Goodness grief.
Crazy. But let's end on a Black fact happy note, because on today in 1959, the birth of Motown, Berry Gordy's inspired record label, was started. Now, the fun part about it, Stacy, I didn't know that he secured a loan for $800 to start Tamla Records, and he later changed it to Motown, aiming to create music that appealed to everyone, black and white. And so on today, we can, party to some Motown sounds.
He actually, incidentally, Niele, he kept Tamla Records, and some, if you go back through the catalogs of some of the biggest Motown artists, some of their music did come out on the Tamla label.
Wow. Okay.
But to your fact, look, people, I don't think you can get an argument that they will never be another Motown, as that was a once in a lifetime thing. The only thing that kind of compared was Stax, right? But that's it.
I think Uptown, Andre Harrell, Uptown Records, I think that was
Uptown was a spin-off. Well, it was
that's
a
what I'm saying, yeah.
Motown.
Right.
But Stax Records, when you had all those the people from Philadelphia like Teddy and those guys, they had a lot of artists who made a lot of hits, but nobody could be Motown.
No, nobody, because you know what? The thing, I think this picture right here says it most, especially as this week we celebrate and honor Dr. Martin Luther King for, his birthday is coming up, and we don't know what, we're not even gonna go to the dark side. But Motown was also activism, and a lot of their artists like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, they spoke to the times, and they weren't afraid to.
Mm-hmm. But that, what's interesting about that too is that you're right. The artists were activists, not Barry. Barry was against that. Barry didn't want what's going on to come out. He didn't want those type of songs. He didn't want Living for the City to come out. But Marvin and Stevie and others, they fought him on it, and Barry took the position, particularly with Let's Get It On, Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On, that this is on you. If this thing tanks, if this thing brings us any harm, I'm coming after you. And Marvin was like, let's go for it.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin has so many. What's Happening, Brother? What's Happening? Inner City Blues. Save the Children. He really, his music spoke to so much. And I think out of Motown, we want to ask the chat before we get out of here, who was your favorite Motown artist? If I had to pick one, it definitely would be Marvin Gaye. My Dear here, that song, Here My Dear, When Did You Stop Loving Me? That's probably like one of my top 3 Marvin Gaye songs. That was his
divorce album. That's the divorce album.
Right. If you listen to, they don't make songs like that anymore.
Here My Dear, the quick story behind Here My Dear was that Marvin was divorcing his wife. They were getting a divorce. Marvin was doing Marvin stuff, and he didn't really have any money. And so they were creating this album, and the idea was whatever profits made would go as the divorce settlement. And so he aptly titled it Here My Dear.
Right. And if you listen to that song, go back and listen to the lyrics. When did you stop loving me? I mean, it'll give you insight to that relationship.
He probably stopped loving her when he was cheating. That'll do it.
But he said, as he recalls, as I recall, okay, he recalls the good times. He trying to figure out when did it happen? When did it? That's the Cole album. But
the roster, oh guys, we talk about some of these guys, but when you think about Smokey Robinson, the Miracles, Diana Ross, the Supremes, we didn't even get to Lionel Richie and the Commodores and the Jacksons,
right? And still
Gladys Knight. Mine too.
But Marvin,
absolutely, and still, hands down, the greatest performance of the American National Anthem happened right there at the Forum in Los Angeles, Inglewood.
I think it was 1984. The year was
82.
82
or 83, because Marvin died April 1st, 84. So I think it was 83 the year before. But without question, and what makes that memorable not only is how he delivered it, but the state of mind he was. Marvin was high as can be.
And nobody else. Some people have tried, but they can't. But you say Marvin. I think Marvin Gaye, I think that is one of the best renditions. I think his and Whitney Houston can go toe to toe. Her rendition of the national anthem too is.
I think Whitney got a lot of attention because there was a war at the time, and not only because, but that helped, I should say.
Well, the way she sang it,
the way she sang it, and the fact that there was a war the U.S. was engaged in the Persian Gulf, it really heightened the patriotism and everything that was happening at the time. Marvin was just so unexpected. That was it was probably I'm sure no one expected him to deliver it the way he did, and you had players, you know how the players line up for the national anthem, they may put their hand over their heart or something like that, but they started tapping their feet, and then the fans started with the rhythmic clapping. It was something else.
Yeah, it was spectacular. That was during the Showtime days of the Lakers, you know. Wish we could get back to that, but nevertheless. So today is Motown Day, so as we prepare to celebrate Dr. King this week, Motown provided a lot of the soundtrack during that time. So let's celebrate Dr. King with music, activism, and days of service this week for sure.
Yeah, Motown was, for most of us, especially our age and older, I
say older, not my age, older. I say
okay.
Older, not my
well,
age.
Soundtrack of our lives. Contributed heavily. Tomorrow you talking about awards. So tomorrow we're expected to have a guest from the NAACP Image Awards to talk to us about the nominations for this year's awards, among so many other things. So tune in tomorrow on Let It Be Known.